Ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed the most devastating political defeat for the Democratic Party in modern American history. The Supreme Court has officially ended the map rigging scheme that the Democrats have depended on for decades, and they're calling it a meltdown for a reason, because it's over. This ruling right here today, guys, this didn't just tweak a few lines on a map, it obliterated the entire system of radically gerrymandered districts that handed Democrats guaranteed seats year after year. And now, Trump's redistricting revolution has locked the House of Representatives in red ink for a generation. I mean, you could actually feel the panic from Capitol Hill to CNN. They never thought that this day would come. But I have to tell you, I really have to tell you, and for some people it's going to be good news, for other people it's going to be bad news. They never thought that this day would come, because for years, Democrats built their power not on persuasion, but on manipulation, slicing up communities, engineering safe seats, and calling it fairness. But today, guys, the Supreme Court said enough. So here's a twist that's sending shockwaves through Washington, D.C. This ruling here doesn't just destroy their maps. It destroys their math. Every projection, every poll, every path back to power, gone. Oh, and right as they're reeling from that gut punch, here comes the next blow. Latino voters are walking away. That's right, folks. The same voters that they thought that they would own forever, they're now flipping entire counties red, from Miami-Dade to the Rio Grande Valley. Oh, and this is happening under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump, mind you. So what happens when the Supreme Court cuts off their gerrymandering lifeline and the Latino base that kept them alive starts voting Republican? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's very simple. The map flips, the balance of power collapses, and the era of Democrat dominance is over. So tonight, I'm going to break down exactly how this happened, how President Trump's redistricting revolution just rewired America's political landscape, and why this Supreme Court decision has Democrats in full-blown panic mode. Make no mistake, folks, this is not just another court ruling. This is a turning point in history. And if you thought 2024 was wild, wait until you see what's coming in 2026. So strap in, hit the like button, and subscribe. Let's unpack why this decision might just be the final nail in the Democratic Party's coffin. Now, you could pretty much see it the second that the ruling dropped. Democrats froze. CNN went silent. MSNBC, their hosts started looking like they had seen a ghost. The Supreme Court had just struck down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And in one instant, decades of Democrat engineering districts, it went up in smoke. In fact, this was a political earthquake that was felt from D.C. to Sacramento. This wasn't just another case. This was a death blow to the left's favorite power tool, racial gerrymandering. This is the same system that carved out safe seats in blue cities for generations. Well, all of a sudden it's now gone. And while Democrats screamed about the end of democracy, President Trump stood calm, almost prophetic, saying, "This isn't chaos. This is fairness. Election belongs to the people again." And that one line right there, guys, it pretty much said it all. The game has changed forever. For years, Democrats used Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act like a political cheat code, claiming that it protected minority rights when in reality, it just let them draw new maps that guaranteed their victories. Entire districts were designed not by geography or community, but by race and ideology. But the court, by a 6-3 decision, finally said what millions of Americans have known all along, that this is not equality, that was manipulation. The judges ruled that race cannot be the primary factor when shaping congressional districts. Now, in plain English, you can't engineer power by skin color. The decision rewrites decades of precedent, and it's sending shockwaves throughout every Democrat campaign office in America. They didn't just lose a case. They lost the foundation of the political machine. And so now, while Washington melts down over losing power, there's another quiet threat that most Americans didn't even see coming: hidden costs in Medicare. In fact, the most dangerous thing about Medicare isn't big bills. It's actually the small ones. It's the sneaky fees that pile up month after month until they drain your savings completely. This is exactly why I partner with Chapter. They specialize in exposing those hidden Medicare costs before they rob you blind. One of our viewers, she said it best: Chapter saved me from death by 1,000 cuts in my Medicare plan. So let me ask you, are you going to let this silent killer keep draining you, or are you going to join the majority who already stopped it? Now, most people are calling the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron today. Phone number again is 909-563 8279. Oh, and here is what one of our viewers just shared in the comments. This was from Steph for the Lord 64. She said, Ron, I just want to thank you. I called Chapter today and followed your link, and Andrew, who answered, said, oh yeah, Ron Yates. It felt so good. I haven't even started with my new plan, and already I'll be saving $35 a month, $420 a year. Starting 2026, my new plan is unbelievable, and I'm grateful. Well, Steph, I appreciate you dropping the comment. I can't tell you how warm that just makes me feel, like to wake up and see a comment like this. I'm just glad that you were able to benefit. So thank you so much, Steph. This is what real savings looks like, guys. Like just like we fight for fairness in politics, Chapter fights for fairness in your wallet. So Chief Justice John Roberts didn't just issue a ruling, he rewrote the rules of political power in America. His majority opinion was crystal clear. The Constitution demands equal treatment under the law. No exceptions, no identity carve-outs, no more racial sorting to serve political goals. That single paragraph flipped the switch on decades of court-approved Democrat manipulation. Roberts reminded the nation that districts exist to represent people, not parties. And under this new law, under this new precedent, every state must now redraw their lines using neutral principles: population, geography, and fairness, not color, not ideology. Now, for Democrats, this is catastrophic. For voters, it is liberation. This ruling right here didn't just clean up election maps, it redefined what justice looks like in 2025. History will remember this as the moment that the map rigging finally ended. Drop a rigging ended down below if you support this, guys. Now, panic, this is the only word that really describes what's happening right now inside the blue strongholds. Look at California, look at Illinois, look at New York, look at these three states that built entire empires on racial gerrymandering. They're in total disarray. Election boards are scrambling, trying to review the maps that are now legally invalid. I mean, look, consultants are burning through the night trying to figure out how to run campaigns with no guaranteed districts left. I mean, they're in shambles at this point. Behind closed doors, strategists are admitting what they'd never say on air. They just lost 15 to 20 safe seats overnight. Nancy Pelosi's old empire in California, gone. Chicago's protected seats, collapsing. And while chaos consumes the coasts, red states are celebrating. The tables have turned. In fact, for the first time in decades, Democrats are fighting uphill, and there's no safety net left to catch them. Now, it all started in North Carolina, folks. I don't know if you heard about this, but the very first domino to fall in President Trump's redistricting revolution took place in North Carolina. Lawmakers just passed a brand new congressional map that adds another solid Republican seat, and the timing could not be any more perfect. In fact, this wasn't random. This was a part of a very well-coordinated strategy. So while Democrats were out there busy crying foul, Trump's team and GOP governors, they were quietly building a map that locks in the majority before a single vote is cast. Texas, of course, was the blueprint. Back in early 2025, you might remember we covered this, they redrew their lines and they added 5 new GOP seats, triggering outrage from the left. Drop an I remember down below if you guys remember that, right? But instead of slowing it down, it ignited a movement. Red states saw it, they copied it, and now the wave is spreading coast to coast. President Trump didn't just win an election, he actually changed the entire battlefield. Now, Florida said, let's make it 3 more. Missouri said, hold my beer. Ohio said, oh, we ain't done yet. Now, one by one, red states are redrawing their maps mid-decade, and Democrats are absolutely powerless to stop it. Look, Florida's new plan adds 3 GOP-leaning districts. Missouri wiped out the last Democrat enclave near Kansas City, and Ohio's legislature is poised to add 2 more. But by the time the dust settles, analysts say Republicans could pick up 30 additional House seats without flipping a single voter. This is what happens when fairness replaces favoritism. This is not a coup. This is a correction. And while the left is screaming authoritarianism, the truth is simple. This is the system working exactly as the founders intended. Power returning to the people, state by state, line by line. So while Democrats were obsessing over redistricting lawsuits, Latino voters quietly, they flipped the script. Oh, did they? Yeah, Latino voters absolutely flipped the script. The Hoover Institution called it the Latino assimilation paradox. The more Latinos prosper in America, the more conservative they become. And 2025 just proved that fact. Now, from the Rio Grande Valley to Miami-Dade in Florida, from Phoenix to Bakersfield, entire districts that Democrats once took for granted are now flying the Republican flag. In Florida, Cuban and Venezuelan voters are leading the charge. In Texas, border town families who have seen the chaos firsthand are saying, no more. We don't want any more of that nonsense. And in California, a growing wave of working class Latinos is rejecting progressive politics, and they're backing President Trump's economic revival. In fact, the Latino realignment isn't a blip. This is a movement here. In fact, together with this Supreme Court ruling right here today, guys, this is erasing the Democrats' last reliable voting bloc. Democrats made one fatal mistake. They assumed the loyalty forever. They assumed Latino families would forever just accept these high prices, weak borders, and endless pandering. But 2025's reality shattered that illusion. Under Biden-Harris, inflation crushed wages, fentanyl tore through communities, and the left's cultural agenda alienated devout Catholic and family-centered voters. These are proud, hardworking Americans who come here for opportunity, not for ideology. They don't want gender lectures in school. They want safer neighborhoods and lower grocery bills. It's pretty simple. And President Trump delivered both of those things. For years, Democrats promised representation but delivered dependency. Now, the voters that they claim to protect are walking away in record numbers. And the party that once called itself the voice of diversity, it is discovering what happens when faith, family, and freedom matter more than fear. Oh, it's over, guys. It is absolutely over. The era of politically engineered districts, it's gone for good. For decades, Democrats used race like a weapon, drawing these bizarre snake-shaped maps to guarantee outcomes before elections even happened. But then the Supreme Court just tore that playbook in half. From now on, districts must reflect geography, not ideology. The ruling doesn't just change the maps, it changes the math. In fact, analysts are saying Republicans now start every election cycle with around 250 safe seats. This is a built-in majority that Democrats just cannot outspend or outspin. So this isn't about partisanship, folks. This is about balance. For the first time in years, the people decide who wins, not the bureaucrats in the back rooms. And while left-wing pundits call it the death of democracy, well, let's just say that the truth is that it's democracy reborn. Fair lines, fair fights, no more guaranteed victories anymore. No more getting jumped after school. Don't be fooled, guys. This wasn't luck. This was strategy. President Trump saw this coming long before anybody else. So while Democrats poured millions of dollars into these lawsuits, Trump quietly built alliances with red state governors, constitutional lawyers, and grassroots organizers to prepare for this exact moment that we're talking about right here today, guys. He called it the America First Fairness Doctrine. His message was rather simple. Return elections to the people, not to the politicians. And the Supreme Court's ruling just stamped that doctrine into history. Now, behind the scenes, Trump's legal teams coordinated arguments supporting state sovereignty, election integrity, and equal protection under law. The result? It was a sweeping victory that's reshaping the House for a generation. Now, once again, Trump didn't just win the fight. He played by his rules and he won the war. Now, the meltdown on cable news, it was immediate. Within minutes of the ruling, MSNBC declared it a dark day for democracy. Meanwhile, CNN warned of the mass voter suppression. But behind the theatrics, everyone knew the truth, that their entire narrative just collapsed. Commentators like Joy Reid and Ellie Mistel, they went on tirades accusing Chief Justice Roberts of racism, claiming that the court betrayed Black America. Really? Somebody didn't get the memo. It was pure projection, guys. They're angry because their illusion of control is gone. Minority voter turnout is up. Okay, let me repeat that. Minority voter turnout is up. It's not down. Americans of every color are voting Republican in record numbers. The media can't explain it. So they want to go ahead and scream racism instead of just admitting what's really happening. Americans are rejecting division. The networks tried to twist this into some civil rights crisis, but, well, what they really exposed was their own irrelevance. Now, while MSNBC mourned, Middle America celebrated. From Tallahassee to Tulsa, conservatives flooded social media with hashtags like hashtag fair maps now and hashtag end the gerrymander. In state capitals across the heartland, crowds cheered as local leaders declared victory for constitutional fairness. Now, for decades, working class voters felt like their voice didn't matter, that Democrats in DC could redraw reality with a pen. But tonight, guys, those voters finally feel heard again. You could see it in their eyes at rallies, in the energy online, and in the polls that show Republican enthusiasm at record highs. This isn't just about politics. This is about principle. Every hardworking American who ever said, "My vote doesn't count," now knows it finally does. This is what representation looks like. Earned, not engineered. Now, at the same time, the Supreme Court victory landed. The Trump economy roared back to life. Inflation is down, wages are up, and consumer confidence just hit its highest level since 2019. Now, even liberal economists are finally admitting it, guys. America is booming again. In fact, the Dow Jones just crossed 45,000 for the first time. And just the other day, it almost crossed 47,000 points on the Dow. Manufacturing jobs are returning and energy independence is back on the table. Meanwhile, Trump's foreign policy wins, peace in Eastern Europe, fair trade deals with Asia, and record low border crossings are fueling a sense that the country is back under real leadership. That momentum has political weight. So when people feel secure and prosperous, they reward the leadership that made it possible. Democrats just can't spin that away. The message is clear. Strong borders, strong families, strong economy. America first is working. So even Democrat strategists, they know it's over, at least for now, because with the Supreme Court dismantling their map advantage, they're trapped in a logistical nightmare. Dozens of blue states must redraw their districts from scratch. Candidate filings are frozen, donors are panicking, and recruitment is collapsing. Several House Democrats have already announced retirements rather than face unwinnable races. Fundraising numbers tell the story. GOP committees are breaking records while Democrat war chests are drying up. And independents, they're siding with Republicans by double digits for the first time in nearly 20 years. The Democrats built their empire on artificial borders and identity politics, but those walls, they just came down. And so now they're left with the chaos, infighting, and no strategy. The 2026 midterms are shaping up to be an extinction event. And that brings us to the big picture, the great realignment. What we're witnessing today isn't just a court victory or a midterm advantage. It is a once-in-a-generation shift in power, culture, and identity. The Supreme Court leveled the field. Latino voters flipped the script, and President Trump's America First doctrine just sealed the deal. Look, the people who were ignored for decades are now deciding the future. Democrats called it progress when they engineered the districts. They called it justice when they divided voters by color. But in 2025, justice finally meant fairness for everyone. The lines are redrawn, the economy's reborn, and the message is undeniable. Manipulation loses to merit every time. So share this video, comment your thoughts down below, and let your friends know America just took its map back, because when you build your power on deception, one honest decision can erase it overnight. We'll see you next time. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.